We are live. Looky here. We are actually live.
And technical difficulty, we didn't have the music this week. Sorry.
Yeah. We have the occasional issue with technical stuff, as you well know. Anyway, welcome to Flak. We call it Flak because we're fans of all the media and we get to give it flack. My co-host is my lovely and talented brother, Mark Tanner, who is an important type of engineer at Red Digital Movie Camera or something like that. Anyway, I'm a writer, which means I largely sell on eBay for a living. And
You're a writer.
What's that?
Change yourself. You're a writer too.
I am a writer. I am. And that's a joke that most writers make. My friend Lisa Smith, who writes under L.J. Smith, who is the one who made the Vampire Diaries popular before it got dragged away from her and given to another writer. She used to say, "Yeah, I'm a writer. That means I'm a kindergarten teacher."
You know what? Pardon me, fans, but I need to get my headphones because.
Are you having trouble hearing me?
Yeah, I think it's my ears more than anything else.
Oh, well. Your brother-in-law has the same problem. We're working on getting him hearing aids. Anyway, this week we've got some videos for you. I'm also going to go over some of the better YouTube channels on the topic of the paranormal. And we'll also get into a couple of other issues and that kind of thing.
And especially for Kim Hull, I dug up all that paranormal equipment and school things that I promised you, and we're going to play them again tonight, in addition to a new one.
We listen to our fans.
Our fan. We listen to our fan.
We have more over on YouTube. On Flak Live on Facebook. Yeah, our fan. Anyway, shall I start, or do you want to get into the video?
Well, let's play a video. So okay. This is a video featuring a school that teaches paranormal ghost hunting stuff. So let me play that for you. I'm sorry I disappear from the screen, but I have to lean forward to my computer.
Yeah, what is with that? Don't you have a little robot to do that stuff?
I need to do something. I need to move my laptop back here where I'm talking so I don't have to lean forward to do this and then put the game. I'm going to work on that during the week.
Oh, and by the way, to my troll who made a remark about my turkey neck, it's because I lost 250 pounds. And so
somebody said something like that.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Hey, come talk to me.
I got a couple of trolls. It goes with the territory.
Yep. Paranormal 101. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Dr. Brandy Stark. Welcome to Paranormal Investigation 101. Paranormal Investigation 101 is a class through Eckerd College, the OLLI program, so that's their lifelong learning program, in which we actually learn about the tools and techniques of paranormal investigation. So the first session of Paranormal Investigation 101 is going to detail the equipment. So we're going to talk about essentially what is a ghost, how do you know there's a ghost there, and then we're going to talk about how to register a ghost. So do you utilize temperature, do you utilize electromagnetic fields? What techniques are needed to see if there's a ghost present? These devices are going to do a variety of things. Ghosts usually manifest with a temperature fluctuation, sometimes hotter, sometimes colder, so you'd like to have an infrared thermometer or a thermometer that can measure air temperature so that you can register this shift in air. I have used this to ask entities to alter the temperature in the past, asking them to either drop the temperature or raise it, and it has responded. Electromagnetic field meters.
I don't know where that's coming
the most
from.
Popular form of ghost hunting equipment.
That wasn't on the screen when I
ghost manifests.
did
So
this.
You can utilize this to
Okay.
note where a ghost is. Sometimes ghosts can answer questions through it by making the EMF increase, and it's a very popular tool, in fact. This is a laser grid, and the idea is that it allows you to see a ghost moving through the area when it breaks the light beams. You can have the spirit box, which scans the radio waves to pick up sounds and noises and tries to create kind of a conversation with the ghost. There is something called the paranormal puck. The paranormal puck is attached to a computer, and it reads EMF, temperature, and it also has a word bank. So the idea is that the ghost can actually pull a word from the word bank to communicate when you ask a question. Some of the best results that I've gotten with equipment, it might surprise people. For example, a film camera has actually produced 2 of the best ghost images that I've ever gotten. Do you have a message that you want to pass on? One of the funnest events is electronic voice phenomenon, and that is where you have a recorder, and then you tell the entity to talk into the red light, to come close, to speak as loudly and as clearly as possible into this device. And we have actually gotten some really good responses. There had been an individual who passed away in a plane accident, and I was trying to find out if this person was there. And ultimately, I mispronounced the name. So if you listen carefully, you'll actually hear a male voice correct me. Is it Mr. Tomlinson? So the advantage to having equipment on a paranormal investigation is that it tends to be a little bit more objective. It's trying to pick up what's in the surrounding environment without prejudice, either disproving the ghost or helping to prove that this really was a paranormal event. Ooh. Oh, God, it just went back. Did you see that, though? There it is. So anyone who is interested in paranormal investigation, my recommendation is to start off with a basic kit, learn your equipment, get used to it and how it responds, and then move from there. Happy hunting, or rather haunting.
Well, that's a very good summation. I need to point out I was very suspicious of the doctor title because, that's easy to come by if you have $150 and don't mind where it's from. This lady is actually a valid PhD in humanities and religious studies. So she's actually a doctorate. So good on her for being objective and yet open to that side of things.
Speaking about being open, I have to tell you, one of these videos has a clip from your arch enemy.
Okay.
Biddle.
I don't have arch enemy. Oh, Biddle? Biddle's just an idiot. He can't help it.
Well, they went to him to substantiate the other stuff. It's a TV show, and you'll recognize it. I've seen the TV show before. It's called Verify.
Yeah.
It's more entertainment than it is documentary.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with going to people like that. What's their opinion going to be? He doesn't believe in it. So he's going to find another excuse. It's just, why bother? It's like, listening to, the Sunday morning pastor. It's always going to be the same message. So,
Well, a lot of what's going on with these paranormal shows is, well, you know yourself, is not legitimate. There's a few out there that I think are, that Stephen Shippey and a few things. But my arch enemy, the one I don't like, good old Tyler Clay.
There are, if we're going to compare those, we need to compare skeptics like, Phil Klass, who was being paid to say what he said. And, James Randi, who was another paid skeptic.
Well, how about his title? The Amazing Randy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not so amazing. Anyway, the thing of it is that all of these people have been brought into the circle in order to dispute the worldview they want people to have, and that's that we live in a mechanistic system, planet, that everything is a matter of one thing colliding with another, turning into another thing entirely, and that therefore it's controllable. So it's people like that. I mean, I would much rather see scientists brought in to debate this stuff. Scientists are much more open-minded than debunkers and skeptics. That's
the whole idea with this. Don't question it in science. The whole idea of science is questioning things.
Exactly.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take a premise, and then you're supposed to check and see if that premise is proven out by the facts. That's what you're supposed to do.
Science is only one perspective. That's the thing that we don't understand, and at least in this society. You go to other cultures, India, for instance, you can have somebody who is a full-blown physicist, and yet he can still be a Buddhist. And, the two viewpoints are entirely, they live easily in the people's culture. Ours is not like that. We have to take one or the other. So we have these silly battles between Bill Nye, the science guy, who has
you've
not a scientist.
You've got to take that for, like you say, he's not a scientist. Well, first of all, what Bill Nye is, he's a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
He's not a climate scientist. He knows nothing about climatology.
He doesn't know anything about anything, frankly.
So for him to make statements about climate.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim. We're taking care of you today. I got lots of videos you're going to like. What do we, in honor of Kim joining our little group here, how about I play one of the videos that I got?
Yeah, there you go. That's
okay. Here comes one. Pardon my chin. Come on, machine.
I think I started thinking about investigating as early as in elementary school. We had an electric typewriter that was in our playroom, and we would occasionally hear it go tick, 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 tick. So my sister and I were like, well, clearly someone's trying to send us a message. So we put paper in it. We never got a message. I'm Elisa Sikora Kleckner. I am a resident designer, costume shop manager, and adjunct professor at a university, and a novice ghost hunter. I'm happily identifying as a novice because I'm still taking all this information and I haven't come up with any kind of definitive belief system around this. One of my favorite things about going on a ghost hunt is just experiencing the place itself, because likely you're going to be experiencing it after hours. And so you get to hear the building, you get to really see the architecture. I love going to those places and hearing about the history of those places outside of the paranormal as well. So what was the cultural importance of this place? I think that one of the most important things to do if you're going to investigate or observe is to know thyself. All right, know that you have allergies. So make sure that you have allergy pills. And I'm not a spring chicken, so make sure you have some pills if you get a little achy. A water bottle so that you can filter your water. And then mosquitoes love me. I don't want to be distracted by them. So just little things that actually keep you comfortable so that you can experience as much as you can clothes that are black. And the reason that I choose clothes that are black is because I don't want to be a means to reflect light. And then I try to wear the quietest shoes that I have that are also super comfortable. A voice recorder. I think that some of the most interesting communication that can happen is just with a little simple recorder that anyone can purchase. And so, of course, not surprisingly, you just need to make sure you have all the batteries because you know something could get drained. I don't know what I think of that, but why not be prepared? So I used to carry a DSLR so that if something happened, I was ready. And you never are. Having a little camera, though, even just to remember the day, because I have a terrible memory. And then, of course, you need a light source. I don't want to fall. I also know myself, and I will trip. I don't think you have to do this in the dark. I think it's convenient to do it in the dark because it's quieter, but most of the experiences, come to think of it, have been in the middle of the day. I desperately need maps. I can get lost just about anywhere. I do keep my cell phone with me. That's more for emergencies than anything. I also try not to because depending on if you're investigating with a group of people, cell phones can sometimes mess with other people's equipment. And I would never want to have anybody have a false positive because I have my cell phone with me. I personally don't carry a ton of stuff because I try to use my eyes and my ears. I just recently had an experience and I was surrounded by ghost hunters and I was the only one who saw it because everybody was looking at their camera, going through their evidence or listening to their recorders or all this kind of stuff. And I just watched a shadow run across a catwalk for a good 5 beats. I am a novice. I am a gentle believer. I have a lot of skepticism about it, but I think it's just really fun to go and experience the history and experience the people who have all different types of commitment to their belief systems. It's why you should go and explore other places in general. I'm not searching for proof to share with the world. I actually have just questions for myself, and I want to be open to a plethora of potential answers to those questions.
And I say once again, we need scientists
Now, I don't know who was clearing your throat. It wasn't you and it wasn't me. I don't know where that came from.
I have no idea. Maybe somebody off camera and when it was being shot.
I guess.
Yeah.
But we got that on both of the videos. There was a little on both of them. I don't know what it was. It wasn't me. I didn't clear my voice.
Yeah, me neither. Well, the as we've noticed, we picked up an EVP last week. By the way,
what?
An EVP, an electronic voice filter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. When you thought it was Larry, who came in and went, "Who?" Somebody says who, but it wasn't Larry. The Mintergeist. She's back.
earlier in the show, Larry didn't come in and say something.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Absolutely, he did.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You were freaking me out. I'm like, wait a second. That wasn't Larry?
Last week. No, Larry walked in fully and spoke to us. So
Okay, because
very much alive.
I was going to run back into the cemetery and hide.
No, there's no reason to.
That's my house back there, by the way, people.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You guys need to send me some more money. I need a new roof.
I have to tell you, one of the things that needs to be remembered when dealing with paranormal is that not everybody, in fact, nobody needs to do ghost hunting to experience it. You can be sitting around in your, and send up a message to somebody who's passed over and receive a reply. And some of my science friends are sitting there going, ah! But sorry, it's true. And we need to figure out how to fit this into the scientific paradigm because it's real and it happens. And I've heard from my little sister, and my brother's heard from his wife, and stuff happens. So what the origin is and the reason for it, nobody knows, but we know it happens. So anyway, do we have some more from the paranormal school, Mark?
I don't have it from the school, but I've got some more on equipment. So
okay.
Let me get that.
And this will be Mr. Bibble.
I forget which one's Biddle. No, I think he's on the one on Verify. I'm only going to play Verify last because this one's a new one.
Okay,
so,
good.
Come on, play.
I'm going to touch on some less common pieces that not a lot of people will have. First one's going to be this device here. It's a paranormal music box. It sounds creepy. And essentially what it is a motion sensor, but it's just a cool looking motion sensor. But it plays this creepy music anytime something crosses in front of it. This is a cool piece of equipment. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got our Zoom recorder, which this is how we'll get any of those EVPs or electronic voice phenomenon. This right here has only been out for about a month. It's called an Envoy. And the easiest way to describe this device is it's like a digital Ouija board. But what's interesting about it is it tests for electromagnetic fields, temperature variance, and touch. But there's nothing pre-programmed in it, which adds a level of transparency that a lot of these other devices don't have. So it'll actually tell you why it went off. But it's got 5 different modes: yes, no, numbers, emotions, and then just your standard information. This is an Ovilus. If you've ever watched a paranormal TV show, they'll either have this one or they'll have the older one. This device uses environmental conditions such as vibration, EMF, to name a few. But it essentially takes that data and it has a pre-programmed dictionary, and it spits out words based off of the readings that it obtains. This one's a really interesting piece of equipment too. I prefer this one, but this one is my runner-up in terms of intelligent communication devices. But both of these are a pretty rare piece of anyone's gear bag. This device here is called an EDI Plus, so it has a geophone built into it. So when we turn that on, it'll actually give us a temperature readout. It'll give us a vibration signification here that it's moving. And then it has an EMF sensor built in, and then temperature variance and pressure and humidity change as well. So a lot of these devices will give us data, but not all data is paranormal activity. I think that's where we get in trouble, is when something goes off, we're like, oh, it's paranormal activity, but there's a lot of different variables that go into whether it's activity or just something in the environment that's causing it to go off. So this bear right here, it looks like a standard teddy bear, but what's interesting about this bear is it actually has built-in phrases, and if something touches it, it lets me know. So once it turns on, every 10 seconds it'll say something. This is really good for any like child spirits, because if they ever want to interact with him, this is usually a good one to put out. I can also put this in a room by itself with a camera, and sometimes you'll have stuff interact with it with me not being there. So whenever it moves, it says it's ticklish, signifying that something's touching it. So it's just a really cool piece of equipment to try and trigger a child spirit. So he'll say phrases like, thanks for holding my hand, things like that. It's just supposed to be a little bit more inviting than sticking out any of these, because sometimes, you know, if I was a kid and I didn't know what this was, I might try and steer clear from this, thinking it might hurt me. This right here is another one of my favorite pieces of equipment. So it looks like Christmas lights, but when you turn this on, it's essentially like having 12 K2 meters, which a K2 meter measures electromagnetic fields. Now this is what your standard K2 looks like. Everyone's got a few of these, but you can actually lay these out on the ground, and anytime something sets this off, which this might do it, it'll actually flash this singular device, but the whole line will stay, will be unfazed unless the whole line gets activated. So this device is really cool to put in doorways or hallways because it kind of catches a little bit of motion better than some of the other ones. These are two different types of spirit boxes. This is an S box, this is an SB11. The way these work is it essentially uses a sweep rate or sweeping ability through FM or AM frequencies. This one can do both, this one can only do one at a time. But you're essentially trying to create a white noise for an entity to manipulate into words. Now I usually pair this with a set of noise canceling headphones, and you can do something called the Estes method, where you essentially take somebody's hearing away, and sometimes people even blindfold people. So you're just saying what's coming through the headphones comparative to looking for an answer if we were to just play this. And it adds a little bit of transparency in the sense of you're not looking for answers, and it takes away a little bit of that bias. This is a RIM pod, and this essentially, the moment we turn this on, it sets a field around this antenna right here. The only thing I will caution you is if you have a walkie-talkie or anything that sends out a radio signal, you can actually trip these off without knowing it. So if you have a walkie-talkie, you could pop it. You can actually make this activate. So don't get confused with paranormal activity if you see that happen. But this device is just another piece to establish a point of communication. The whole objective of all of these pieces of equipment is to establish communication, whether that be through this $400 music box or this $30 K2 meter. It doesn't matter, but the emphasis is to establish communication, and not just it going off, but intelligence behind response. That's when it kind of perks my ears up to what's going on. If something is obeying commands and doing things on a cadence compared to just turning on. So people always ask me what the first thing to buy is whenever you're an investigator, and you don't really need any of this to go into these places and experience paranormal activity. This just gives you a visual cue that something could be around, but at the end of the day, your body, to me, is probably your best tool, because everyone's had that hair standing up in the back of the neck feeling. And I feel like our bodies are a lot more attuned to the environment around us than we think. And a lot of the response we have to electromagnetic fields is that hair on the back of your neck, that feeling of heaviness, that uncomfortableness. So don't feel like you have to spend thousands of dollars to get to the point where I'm at, where you're investigating places. You could literally go with your phone with a voice recorder and a flashlight and get better activity than I could ever get with all this stuff. So as a tip of advice, just if you're interested in this, go out there and start doing it, because you don't have to have this to be able to do this. It's just where I'm at. I've been able to acquire all this, but it's not needed for the field. So there is a common trend right now of people developing phone applications to hunt ghosts. When I first started, I would use one, and now I don't use any. And my reasoning is the moment that you have somebody making the application, it takes away that transparency and the ability for me to really entrust what I'm getting through there is paranormal activity and not just an app spitting out words. So if I can give you a word of caution, is steer clear of phone apps, because there's so much manipulation that can go into those. And you're better off just walking around with the audio recorder built into your phone, because that's not going to give you random words or draw figures or spit out nonsense. It'll give you a better basis to work off of compared to trusting an app that somebody made with the notion of marketing and monetizing ghost hunting. So I definitely would caution against the applications, because when you're in the business of making money doing this, you're obviously going to put out a product that's going to make you more money. So that's my biggest misconception, is I don't trust phone apps. Again, I'm not asking you to believe because I say so, but as somebody that does this week in and week out, I will not touch them anymore. I would much rather just have a recorder, and if we get anything, we get anything. If we don't get anything, then I'm not worried about it, because I can entrust that what this gives me is more authentic than a phone app.
Okay, I'd like to address his last point he made. There are a couple of inventors that work in this field, I'd say 3 or 4, that I have fairly good feelings about. One of them being Bill Chappell, who is the fellow who invented the ovalless. Ovalless. There's no second U in there, okay? One thing that really bugs me is dear old Zach Bagans started calling it an ovulus, and all of a sudden everybody was saying that. Anyway, Bill Chappell is an engineer. He's a very intelligent fellow, and he reveals all of the source behind using the ovulus and the puck and all the other things he's created, including the SLR. And so you know what is being measured and translated into word or visual image or whatever. And therefore, it's easier to kick the tires on any of the things you receive. Also, Gary Galka, who created the, I know everybody sees the people using the Mel meter, and you don't, well, Mark doesn't watch this stuff. The Mel meter was named after his daughter Melissa, who died in a car accident, and
I think I heard about that someplace.
Yeah, and so he has a number of good items that he backs it up with his name, with his reputation. So there are some people who do legitimate inventions. I would also be very careful about anything that is sold over the web as a ghost voice. Most of the time, it's a random word generator, and to be honest with you, there have been times when that has worked. And if something comes in and evidential analysis of the words received shows some possibility of evidence that talks toward. Can you tell I had my sinus and allergy medication this morning?
You're just talking very scientific.
Yeah, well, that, and I'm scatterbrained, but then
I would like to bring something up.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone has noticed on my video clips, there's background noise. I have discovered that the software I am using not only picks up the audio from the clip, but it also picks up background noise from my microphone. So that person blowing his nose, sorry, it was he. I remember doing it during the thing, but I was not aware that it was capturing that audio. So I'm going to have to work on that. The software is not that great. I don't want to mention the name of the software, but it could. I mean, it works, but it could be better.
Yeah. Well, we're all human. We all have stuff that happens. I have to say, one of my heroes in this field is a fellow named Dave Schrader. And Dave has a paranormal channel on YouTube called Paranormal 60. It's sort of the 60 minutes of paranormal. And Dave constantly has stuff happening. Screws with his software, with his connections, you know. So whether it's paranormal or not, stuff is going to happen no matter what level of engagement you're at when it comes to the paranormal, or the paraabnormal, as I said in my notes for this episode. But be careful with anything you have to buy, because quite frankly, you know, you get what you pay for. In this field, sometimes you get more than you pay for.
Well, I was looking on on Alibaba.
Yeah.
And those of you who are not familiar, it is the big Chinese wholesaling outfit. And you can buy all this ghost hunting equipment on there. Now, somebody bought the cheap one, which was $9 for an EMF meter. And he pulled it apart, and there was a tiny little itty bitty circuit board in there and 6 light bulbs. That was it. And he tested it, and it didn't work very well. It scored positives where there wasn't anything. It didn't score one where there was. And so, you know, you get what you pay for. If it was me, I would, and you wanted to start buying some of this stuff, I'd just buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Check the reviews. You know, their review system is all honked up. So check the reviews and make sure they are reviews for the product you're looking at.
And also, if there are 5,000 reviews and it has 4.5 stars, that's better than something that only has 300 views or reviews and has
5 stars. Because I can tell you, especially from the Chinese companies, like 85% of their posts, the reviews, are from employees of the company.
Yes.
So just realize that. And all you got to do to tell is look up the profile for the person that posted the review. And you can see that's all they post are reviews for products of the company they work for in China.
Yeah,
So,
these people, writers that publish or that sell on Amazon, have the wonderful experience of having their reviews removed if trolls find any evidence that you know the person who reviewed you, or even a suggestion. I had a review removed who was by someone with the last name Clark, and they assumed it was a relative. So you have to be careful about reviews over there, because they can be manipulated many ways. But
irrelevant, that's a creature with big ears and a long trunk.
That's right. And there's an Indian irrelevant and there's an African irrelevant. And my brother and I are returning to the days of our childhood with stupid jokes.
Well, I just remember those and I say, oh, I remember us talking about it.
Yeah. But anyway, I've forgotten what I was saying. Jessica Wolf tells us Austin Power toys too. You know, Jessica, I got to talk to you about your thing with Austin Powers sometime, because
I mean, if you want us to address that somehow in a paranormal means, tell us what it is that you're talking about. Because
I mean, what was his name? The fellow who played him in the movies, Michael
Myers.
Myers. Thank you.
And it's
I,
not the Halloween guy. It's a different Michael Myers.
yeah, not the, yeah. Michael Myers I have a couple friends who worked with him, and anyway, we'll leave it at that. I also have friends.
I have heard he's a real jerk. So this has nothing to do. I didn't get this information from Melody. I know some other entertainment people, as my sister knows, and I've heard he's not a very pleasant person to work with.
We live in Southern California, ergo we know media people, and yeah.
I know Walter Koenig, Linda Blair, Bill Blair, who you may not have heard of, but he holds the record for being the most number of different aliens in movies and TV. So
I'm afraid we lost Jessica. I'm sorry, hon. But Mike, I hear Michael is trying to be better these days. So all the people you hear about.
Why did she leave? What did she say?
I just noticed we dropped a viewer. So. Of course, that's probably just the software, the architecture. But anyway, I also wanted to address the idea of the paranormal shows. All paranormal shows are different. Some of them, anything to do with Zach Bagans, I wouldn't watch because I'm suspicious as hell of him. And anything connected to him, like Destination Fear, I'm suspicious of. The Ghost Hunter people are, their show wouldn't have been as boring as it often was if they were faking stuff. So most of the Ghost Hunter connected people are very honest and are there doing what they're supposed to do. I especially like Kindred Spirits with Amy Bruni and Adam Berry, who came out of the Ghost Hunters group and now have their own show, Kindred Spirits. That's a very good show. They come up with good evidence. Yes, Mark.
And our show officially hates Clay and his Blackwell Ghosts series.
Oh, well, yeah. There are plenty.
A lot of people still buy into it. You read the reviews of that thing, they still buy into it. They say, I posted on there, all the information that shows that it was phony. They say, oh, well, you're just a hater.
Yeah, we hate his stuff. Yeah. This, and then they come after people like Steve Shippey, who is honest, who puts his own money behind his productions and would be significantly richer if he wasn't doing this. But because he grew up in a haunted house and he knows what it's like to have that activity and not have anybody believe him, he has done what he's done, which is make some of the best paranormal activity related documentaries that exist.
I'd like them.
Yeah, me too. I think that
I'm a skeptic, and I didn't see anything that showed that he was full of crap.
Nope. As with all intelligent people, I'm skeptical too. But I'm also skeptical of my skepticism. And that's, no, it is well to quote, who was it? Freud. Sometimes it is good to be skeptical of our skepticism. And
he also said sometimes it's just a cigar.
Yeah, he said a lot of shit. But anyway, the key is to take the whole picture in and don't just lock yourself in one perspective or another. Sometimes it's not a ghost. Sometimes it's just garbage. Sometimes it's histrionics coupled with a couple of weird photos that, double exposure or something. And that's what you have to do. But if you lock yourself out of there being anything possible, in the paranormal, then you're going to be just as distorted as someone who walks in. It says everything's a ghost. So that's my point. I had somebody message me going, "You're doing damage to science." No, nobody listens to me. Don't worry about it. Just ask my readers. So,
I don't know how you are supposedly doing damage to science.
I'm not. Science is
Science
just
is
fun.
fine. It's just people are distorting science.
Exactly. People are speaking for science when science is supposed to speak for itself. And
The most misused thing on social media are pictures of famous people with quotes next to them that they never said.
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And,
there's a lot of pictures of Morgan Freeman with right-wing quotes, and I happen to have read a lot of Morgan Freeman stuff, and he was middle of the road, if not maybe a little to the left of the road. So
he's a like most people, he's a moderate.
he's a celebrity.
Yeah. And the only one of those I've seen is the one that says, "I never said any of that," and it's underneath it. It's Abraham Lincoln. Most of the time, like my favorite example of that is the old Winston Churchill thing about, as the older you get, the more conservative you become. However, he did the exact opposite, and he never said that anyway. So he actually became more liberal as he got older, because you start realizing the frailties of life and that sometimes people need help. So anyway, there are lots of things out there that are just nonsense. And
I don't think it was Jessica we lost, because she just reposted something.
oh, okay. Well, whomever it was, come back. We'll change our minds in 15 minutes. Anyway, what I wanted to add about the paranormal shows is there are good ones that are done from a standpoint of giving good evidence and real information. They are few, but they are out there.
I wish they would start using the more modern night vision things that show color.
Yes, I agree totally.
Because all of these shows, if you turn them on, you can't tell what show you're watching unless you know the actor or the people.
The performer, yeah. It's true. And that's another thing I want to address. People, any show that has casting on it, people think that makes it fiction. Casting is a term used for putting people in productions. And it doesn't matter if it's a reality show, it's still casting. Okay?
Now, I'd like to bring something up.
Yes.
A lot of these reality shows are crap.
Oh, most.
They're orchestrated, produced, and directed and made to appear as though they're spontaneous things.
Yes.
The best thing you could do if you have a question is think about this fact. No matter what they're doing and where they are, there's a camera person there. They're not alone out in the forest. There's a camera crew there. There's a lighting guy and a camera. So there's usually at least two people with that person. So when they act all terrified and run off into the woods, they just left their two camera people there to be eaten by Godzilla.
Yeah, I must share something that Kim shared. Since I stopped watching Ghost Adventures a long time ago, I couldn't stand the yelling Zach does. I agree completely. And also
the Stephen Chippy ones. I think you'd like the Stephen Chippy ones if you haven't seen them before.
Stephen Chippy's amazing. He's done just some of the best work in the field. And I don't think there's been a more upstanding person in this field since Thelma Moss died, frankly. But, and if you don't know who Thelma Moss is, Google. Where were we before I interrupted? We were making a point.
Well, I was just talking about the fact that whenever you see any of these things, there's always at least a couple of people there with them.
Naked, afraid, and accompanied by an entire production crew. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, you have to really be desperate to make a buck.
Oh, yeah.
If you're on that show, I'm sorry, because they'd have to pay me $100 million to do that.
Easy.
And then I'd think seriously about it.
And then I'd turn it down. I'm serious. You see those things. I watched 20 minutes of one, and Larry was watching it. He watches anything with nature in it, animals and stuff. And I'm looking at this going, there's not enough money in the world.
Well, have you ever seen, now, are you watching the edited one or the unedited one?
I have no idea.
Because they have a version of that where they buzz out all the private parts.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I'd be watching.
Well, then they have another version playing on a different channel where it's not buzzed out.
Oh, yeah.
And they're ugly people.
Of course.
They're nobody I'd want to see naked.
I mean, it's not like they got
Ursula Andress and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. Anyway, let me real quickly, because we're coming
8
up.
minutes.
Yeah, I want to go over some of the channels I can recommend on YouTube. This is stuff with legitimate content. They're not trying to make a buck. They're not stacking up chairs in another room and then walking in and going, oh. There's Behind the Paranormal. That is run by Paul Eno, who used to be the assistant to the Warrens. And he was, if you see any of the movies where the little guy is behind them and he's working, that's him. That's who he's supposed to be.
If you're not aware of who the Warrens are, look up the Amityville Horror.
Yeah. And look up Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, but that's their most famous thing,
Yeah.
is the work they did on the Amityville Horror.
And he was with them for a while. He almost became a priest, but did not. And has a fascinating view of the paranormal, and a very, very sophisticated one, too. He believes that most poltergeists are parasites. And I don't mean like Mintergeist, she's our baby sister, but poltergeists, he believes are parasites from, who knows, through another dimension. And he's got just a lot of really interesting ideas. Belief Hole, which is one of my favorites. They're a podcast. They also have a YouTube channel. And it's several brothers who are brilliant, and they also are all very creative. Carol Bowman Reincarnation is Carol Bowman's channel. She's the lady who had 2 of her children start talking about their past lives, and dropped her pan she was washing and went, what? And let's see, Mystery Wire, George Knapp's channel. Quantum gravity research, which is really interesting stuff. Dave's channel, Paranormal 60, and Really Haunted, which is really haunted. It's a poor fellow in Manchester, England, who has to deal with pretty nasty haunting he has going on. And it's not monetized, and it's genuine stuff. So take a look at it if you like. And if you want to shoot me a message, I'm at on Facebook, Melody Clark. I'm also at melody23@gmail.com. Or you can message Mark and ask us for other recommendations, and we can give those to you. For what it's worth.
You could message me on Facebook or send me an email at drquality@earthlink.net.
So that lets you know that we are real people. We are contactable. We are not AI. If I was AI, I mean, I'd want to have the program rewritten. And you're welcome, Kim. Thank you. The other stuff on YouTube, I don't know whether it's real or not. The ones I've suggested to you, only one of them is an active haunting that is being represented. The rest are just information sources. And I'd be very careful about any of the supposed haunting channels, because they make a lot of money with those when they get it going and they have enough viewers.
Well, I think a lot of what's out there is because of the unfortunate things that are going on around us. I won't go into detail, but I think they're to distract people from that.
Maybe. It could be. And there's also, I have to say, there's also some good UFO related information up there. And there's also a lot of crap. So again, with everything, you have to be careful and consider the source.
And like Melody and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, there's a UFO civil war going on right now.
A huge
between the Stephen Greer hippie, everything's wonderful and peaceful and the aliens love us group, to the Lou Elizondo, they're here to kill us and we have to build weapons and satellites, and which I think is probably more towards trying to help the defense industries. So
build up their coffers.
Yeah. So where this is all coming from and whether it's true or bull, we're going to come out here and we're going to find out.
Yeah.
So if we're not here one day and there's a big sign on the front of the building that says seized by the FBI and the IRS, you'll know they came and got us.
Not going to happen. Most of what our government does is for good reasons. And most of what any government does is for good reasons.
Well, let me comment that not all the comments on that show are representative of me. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. But I was going to say also, there are voices from various different factions in all areas. And not all of them are there for the reasons they say they are.
Very true.
To give you a very good example, we were told for years that our Social Security was at risk, that it was going to be taken away, that, the social safety net was going to be. They can't do that. They can't. The national security state that they're always knocking is the structure, and it requires that income in the system. They can't take it away.
Well, I hope you're right.
they'd have to build up all of the military and the police forces, and it would cost them much more than the Social Security does now. So it's that.
We've got 20 seconds.
Oh, okay. All right, Mel will shut up. We'll save the rest for next week. We'll save the rest for next week. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Don't kill it. I'm going to play the extra music.
Ah.